Welcome to my channel. This is Kerry. If this is your first time here, great to have you on board. I would describe myself as an intuitive empath, and you may call what I do psychic or clairvoyant, but let me explain a little bit. With the gifts that I have, I see, which is known as clairvoyant, I hear, which is clairaudient, and I feel, which is clairsentient. And information comes through simultaneously to me, and could be a combination of all of those things at the same time. So when I receive information, it is like putting a puzzle together, where symbolism is used too. The communication or receiving it seems to be the easy part, and in comparison to discerning or interpreting the meaning behind the information that's coming through. So I provide the information as I receive it, and I do my best to discern the information and interpret it in the hopes that the information may trigger a memory or a connection or a new lead in these cases. Do have a disclaimer in this, and that this information is my interpretation of the information being shared with me by my spirit guides during a communication session. And I encourage everyone listening to this to discern the information shared for themselves. I'm not alleging or asserting that the information is fact for any situation or the guilt of any individual that may be identified through spirit communications being presented. I do not claim that these readings are 100% accurate. However, I do my best to interpret the information provided to me by spirit as accurately as possible in an attempt to help the victims tell their story. So please consider these readings for entertainment purposes only, although that statement does not reflect the seriousness of how much I actually care or consider the sensitive subject matter, and in particular my respect and caring for the victims. On the 5th of August 2021, when I was sitting doing communication, some information came through to me about, at first I thought it was a young boy, but then I realised that it wasn't. It was actually a young girl. I wrote down all of the information that I had received, although I had no idea at the time who it related to, and I was not given a name by spirit. I did discuss this communication with my friend Annie, who I also do live streams with on a fortnightly basis on this channel, and really sort of put this information aside because I didn't hear anything about a case involving a young girl. It was later that I actually started Googling to find out if anyone was missing, and there wasn't anyone in Australia where I am, but there was a young girl called Summer Wells that was missing from a state in the US. And I thought that the information related quite closely to that particular case. I didn't share anything about this at the time because I knew that obviously it was being investigated, and I felt that information would come to light. However, a couple of nights ago, I had another dream about this young girl, and it prompted me to get this reading back out and go back through it and see how closely my dream resembled the original writing that I got. I then did a bit of a search and found that this case is still open. No one actually knows what happened to this beautiful young girl, Summer Wells. And it absolutely breaks my heart, because this is a little girl that is currently missing, and no one knows where she is or what has happened to her. So tonight I decided to share this information in hopes that some of it may resonate, that it may provide a new lead or a new pathway in the case. And I'd love to hear your comments on the information I'm about to share. So on the 5th of the 8th, 21, and again in my dream just a couple of nights ago, I dreamt of a very young child, possibly 4 to 6 years old. Now, in my original writing, I thought that this was a young boy. They had very, like a crew cut haircut. But then I did see that this child had a ribbon in their hair. So I realized it was a girl, and her head had been shaven. She seemed to be bright and bubbly and had a big smile. I saw her going into a house, and the house itself was very cluttered. I feel that she has siblings in the house, but they were really not paying attention to her. I didn't feel an adult around her or within the house at that time. And I see her leaving the house again, back through the door that she entered through, which I think would be the front of the house. And I saw her going outside. She was on a property. There were old cars and old machinery, some junk around the edges of this property. But I saw that there was also animals. Now, there weren't farm animals around. I'm talking lots of dogs, and I saw a few cats as well. I also saw another shed or a small dwelling on the property, and I feel that that's where the mother or the parent or guardian energy was in that space. I see her chasing the dogs around the side of the house, and she's calling to one in particular. It seems to be a younger dog, one that she felt very connected to. But this dog is following the other dogs, and they're running down a track, following the other dogs, and I see her running behind them, and she's calling out, and they keep going, and she follows. And I see her coming to a road, but she can't see the dog that she was chasing after. She does see one of the bigger dogs across the road. I get the sense that she knows she shouldn't really cross the road, but she really wants to bring this smaller dog back. She's worried about it leaving the property. So she crosses the road anyway and chases after the dogs, and she's calling out to this one dog. She's looking around now, and she's going through like a bush area. I see lots of trees, dirt on the ground, not overly dense, but some tracks through there, but definitely wooded. So there is bush around her. And I see her going deeper into this area, and now she's not quite sure where she is or what direction she should be going. She can no longer see the dogs. They've just gone way too fast for her, and she's lost them. So she's turning around to head back towards her home. And she screams out, I think she's calling for her mum, but there is no response. She still can't see the dogs anymore. She's moving in the direction that she thinks will take her back to the road, and I can feel a panic and anxiety building within her now. Firstly, she knows she should never have crossed the road. She's not quite sure which direction she's going in, and she knows she's going to get in trouble. when she gets home. But she isn't actually going in the right direction, she's going in the wrong way. She comes to an opening in this forest, and it opens out to a field, or what I thought was a field, but it could be farmland. There seems to be really tall grass or a tall crop. It's definitely not corn. Could be wheat because it does look grass-like. Feel that she goes into this opening of this field and she can hear machinery running. So it's either machinery or a loud vehicle that I can hear. And so she's moving towards this vehicle and she's calling out because she's hoping that she can get some help and be told which way or which direction to go, because she's now lost and panicked. So she runs towards that machinery, but she isn't heard above the sound. So it's either a really loud car, a larger car, or it's farm machinery of some sort, because it's definitely quite loud, this motor. So she runs in the direction of that vehicle and she comes out directly in front of it. The man driving the vehicle doesn't see her in time and wouldn't be able to stop in time either. And he hits her and runs her down. Sorry, I just need to pause for a moment because that is just very emotional and I can feel my emotion churning. And I also feel the panic surrounding this, the fright in the man, the scare in the man. And he's panicked and he feels the bump. And he gets out and he sees her laying on the ground. He sees or feels that she's been crushed by this vehicle. He rushes to her, but he can't feel her breathing. He does try to help her, but he's not getting any response. He's in a total panic now. He didn't even see her. He doesn't know where she's come from and he doesn't recognize her. And he doesn't know what to do. He's crying and he's lifting her up and saying, "Where did you come from? Who are you? Where did you come from? How did this happen?" He's also panicking. He doesn't know what to do. He wants to call someone, but he knows she's passed, she's gone. I think he's afraid. He may have a criminal record. I think he's afraid of what's going to happen. He picks up her body. He places it in the vehicle. And I feel like they're going, or the vehicle's moving now. It's going to a huge shed. Now this shed is so big it either stores farm stocks or stores machinery. He's taking her in there. The back, there's a very large, what we would call in Australia, an esky, a large ice box, something that someone maybe would take camping or fishing, but it's quite big. He doesn't know what to do with her and he's still panicked. He opens the lid to that. Inside it are, I think, nets or fishing gear, or there's some sort of string, maybe it's hessian. And he lays her body inside there. And the whole time he's saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." Just feel him getting drunk now, not knowing what to do. I don't think he's aware that other things are now going on. It's been a couple of hours since this happened. And I feel that there's people and cars arriving not far away. You can hear the travelling down the road. It's unusual, this is a quieter road. And he sits there and he drinks until he passes out. He knows who this is now. I feel like this is almost the next day, the next morning. I feel like he knows who this is now. And he doesn't know what to do. He's packing up a car, like an old four-wheel drive. It's a browny tan colour. It's an older four-wheel drive. He's putting this big esky, this big ice box in there. He's packing some other, looks like fishing gear or camping gear. And he's travelling. Now seeing the number 96. So it's either, well, I would say 96 kilometres. I don't know what that is in miles or whether they're just referring to miles. But I feel that's how far he's travelling. I feel like it's on the edge of a national forest area where he's going. There is a river, there is water. There's a camping ground. I feel like it's getting darker now. And as the sun starts to go down, he takes her from this ice chest. And I feel that she's been placed in hessian. It feels rough and coarse. And he's taking her up into the bush. And there's a large outcrop of rocks. And there's a crevice between two large rocks. And he's placing her down inside that crevice. He is crying. He is sobbing and he's saying how sorry he is. But he can't tell anyone what's happened. It was an accident, but no one will believe it. See him kicking soft fall leaves, dirt, sticks. He's trying to cover the hessian in this crevice. He's not lifting it with his hands, he's kicking it with his boots. These are not hiking boots. They look more like a tradie's boot. And I see him praying. And he's asking God for forgiveness. And he's apologizing for having to do this. He's leaving there now. And he's going back to where the car is parked near a camping site near the river. He takes that large ice box and he throws it into the river. It doesn't go very far. It's like on the edge of the river and it feels like it's in mud or there's some trees growing in this water. And he leaves it there. It's getting quite dark now. See him getting back into the four-wheel drive. And he's driving out of this national forest. Back out to the exit. And he's passing through like a small town. This is not a city area. This is more of a smaller country town. He sees the pub and he pulls in. I feel like he buys a bottle of, oh gosh, could be bourbon, could be whiskey. This small pub has rooms above it where people can stay, and he books a room. And he goes upstairs and he drinks. And he drinks and he drinks until he passes out. See him getting up the next day, and he's returning back to his original property. He's driving back the way he came. And he's an emotional mess, and he's afraid. He knows who this young girl is now. He knows the family. He's heartbroken. He's in a very depressed state, but he's not told anyone. It's been a long time now and he's still not told. He has nightmares about it constantly. He is in a state of depression. People may notice a change in him. He's become quiet. I almost want to say hermit-like. And he's using substances, he's using alcohol, anything to dull the thoughts and the pain. And he's in a depression over this. But he can't come forward now because he didn't tell anyone straight away. I feel the remorse and the regret. This remorse and regret may get to him. He may be drinking and tell someone about this. This feeling surrounding him, she knows this too. I do feel that they may tell someone about this drinking, or they may refer to something that gives someone time to take pause around what they're saying. I think there could be a tip, but I just don't know that the evidence is there that anyone can prove any of this. I hope that he does come forward with the truth so that she can be laid to rest properly, and that the family know what's happened to her. And the world knows what's happened to her. Then went on to ask my guides some questions about this young girl, and okay, is she at peace? Has she gone to heaven? She says the passing was quick, and there were messages for her parents, for her siblings. They didn't look for her for hours. She was gone a very, very long time before they realised that she was missing. It could have been an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I'm not getting to 3. They're taking me 1 to 2. So she was missing for a while before anyone realised that she was not there. She says her parents loved her in their own way. They may have been struggling to provide that loving, caring, safe home, but they did not harm her. Perhaps neglected at times. It wasn't necessarily a clean and safe environment. And there were many times that she would be out for long periods of time and they wouldn't notice that she was not around them. I feel that there was a lot of alcohol, maybe pills. I'm seeing pills as well as alcohol. I think the parents struggled with their own issues, their own demons. And whilst they loved her and loved the children, there was neglect there. She holds no grudge for this. She says she's sorry. She's sorry she left the property. She's sorry that she went that day. She knows she wasn't meant to. She is at peace. She is in heaven. And she is watching over those she loves. That was the end of the information that I received about this young girl. What do you think? Do you think that the spirit guides and messages are talking about Summer Wells? It did feel to me like a lot of that information fit that young girl's circumstances. Please let me know your thoughts in comments. Hi everyone, this is Kerry. If you're just coming to the channel for the very first time, welcome. And if you're coming back, thank you for coming back. This won't be too long a video today. I just wanted to share some information that was shared with me by Spirit during a recent communication that relates to Summer Wells. This information that was shared with me really was talking about Summer Wells and the purpose for her life in this lifetime, and I'm hoping that in sharing this it does bring some comfort. Spirit says that Summer was strong in spirit and was born into this family for a purpose. Not just the family, but the area in which she was born. Summer has reincarnated down a family line to end generational abuse. She chose this incarnation to shine a spotlight on abuse that has been passed down generation to generation for many generations through both sides of her family. Her situation also shone a spotlight on going on within Hawkins. All activity came to an abrupt halt, not just abuse, but also generational narcotics, distribution and use. Now, as horrific and devastating as her going missing is, Summer was destined to fulfill this purpose. She was not the first in her family, but she will be the last to go through such a trauma. Her past life may have been within this generation, and in her past life she passed early to possibly mid to late 20s. There was also personality and physical resemblances to the person she was in this past life, and this was commented on within the family, so they would be aware who this refers to. Summer was a loving and caring soul. Her life purpose was to stop the abuse cycle, a purpose her spirit chose before incarnating as Summer in this lifetime. Her purpose was fulfilled, and may this knowledge bring comfort. I know that message is really hard to accept and really hard to understand, but it takes a very strong and special soul to choose such a lifetime to end such abuse. What I might do is just use the divination rods and ask Spirit if they will now communicate with me to confirm or validate the information that was shared in that communication. Before I do this work, I always do a meditation, and I do a cleansing and a prayer of protection. Now, I've already done this, but for the purposes of this video and to make sure everyone here is also protected and that we're working on the right level, I'm going to do that prayer of protection again. In the name of Jesus Christ, I call upon God's angel messengers to stand guard at the doorway of our souls, to guide us in the ways of truth, love, and light, and protect us from any forces of darkness or deception. Amen. Just going to ask Spirit now for permission to communicate about this writing. Spirit, are we able to ask questions about Summer Wells in regards to the communication that I received? That's a yes. Thank you, Spirit. Please take the rods back to center. Thank you. For those watching, could you please show us a response for yes? Can you please show us your response for yes? Thank you, Spirit. Please take them back. Thank you. Spirit, can you please show us your response for no? Please show us your response for no. Thank you. Please take the rods back to the center. Thank you. If the answer is not yes or no, please show us the response. Just swaying in and out, for it's an either yes or no, which means I need to rephrase the question. Spirit, can you tell me, did Summer choose to incarnate in this lifetime to end the cycle of generational abuse. Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you. Please take them back. Thank you. Spirit, has Summer reincarnated down the same family line in order to end this generational abuse? That was a quick response, a very quick response. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit, did Summer achieve this purpose? Did Summer achieve this purpose? Will this abuse now end? Oh, she's such a special little soul. Spirit, is Summer aware of all the people who are still looking for her and doing everything they can to find out what happened to her the day she went missing? Is she aware of this? She is. Thank you. Can you take the rods back? Thank you. Spirit, will the truth be known? Will it be discovered as to what happened the day that she went missing? They're not giving me a response to that question. Spirit, is the person responsible for what happened to Summer that day? Have they told anyone else what happened? Have they told anyone else what happened? Excuse me. Thank you, Spirit. That also confirms an answer from an earlier divination rod session and from earlier communications. Spirit, is it okay if I do another session at a later date to ask questions that have been left for me in comments? Will you answer the questions that have been left for me in comments? That's a yes. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit, can you tell me, is Summer Wells in heaven? Is Summer's spirit now with God? And that's another yes. Thank you, Spirit. Take the rods back. Thank you. Spirit, thank you for communicating with me. I'm going to close the communication now. Thank you. My prayers and thoughts are with Summer, precious soul, choosing to do this and choosing to end generational trauma. Thank you for communicating and thank you for sharing that information. And with that, I'm going to close. I'm also going to do another session at another time to ask questions that I've received in comment section. I have received a lot of really good questions and I'm going to ask Spirit those questions and see what responses we get from those questions, and hopefully we'll receive some more answers. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments about this video or any feedback on any of the information provided, please let me know in comments. I do read comments, and I'll incorporate any questions that you have in another session. Thank you, and take care, everybody. Hi, this is Kerry. About a year ago, I received a communication from my spirit guides where they shared with me information about a young girl gone missing that matched with Summer Wells. The information from that reading that I shared about this case in a previous video ended up being quite controversial at the time. I shared that Spirit had told me that whilst the parents may have had issues and may have neglected their care responsibilities, neither Don nor Candace were actually directly involved in the disappearance of their daughter, Summer Moon Utah Wells. I got a lot of comments about that, and I understand that people feel really strongly about this case and have many different opinions. A few months ago, one of my subscribers, and thank you, you know who you are, shared some additional information with me, and it made me realise that there seems to have been a bit of a shift in the feeling and direction that those still following and reporting on this case have moved to. This change in focus matches far more closely with the information that my spirit guides originally gave me. I wanted to thank everyone who liked, commented and shared my previous readings about Summer. I have read all of your comments and replied to most of you. You've probably noticed I don't put out video after video daily, weekly or monthly about this case. This little girl is not clickbait in my eyes, and the suffering and loss that all those who knew her and loved her is not something that should be exploited. I'm only putting this content out with trust that the universe will arrange for the right person to see it and be able to use the information as a tool to further the investigation and hopefully find Summer and the truth. Unlike some psychics and mediums, I don't call on Summer to communicate directly with me. Of course, if she wants to come through, I'm open to that communication. But my guides have explained to me that when you think about someone or when you call out to someone, you're actually tuning in to that individual person's spirit, their soul vibration, which is as individual as their DNA. And that by doing that and attracting and pulling in that unique soul frequency, in a traumatic situation, it can hold a soul close to the earth plane. And sometimes with that grief, even stop them from moving on to the halls of healing and to heaven, which is why I don't do that. My guides initiate these communications, and after that, I do ask them for any more information that they can share, which they will do, but mostly they show me and tell me the same information I previously received, which is why I don't put out constant videos. And that's because it remains the same. So I don't see any point in sharing the same information in slightly different ways over and over again just for views. Now it's been over 2 years from when Summer went missing, and I asked my guides what else they could share with us, or for the highest good of honouring justice for Summer. What I saw, which is what I was also given originally, is that Summer left the property of her own accord, and she was following her favourite dog down a pathway. She saw bigger dogs and had crossed the road and thought that her little dog had also crossed the road, but that was not the case. She had not seen her little dog circle back, and worried for that puppy, she crossed the road and went after them. I saw her walking out past the end of a driveway and going right, crossing the road, but back on the opposite side of the road there was a crossroad that she went past, but she was on the other side of the road. Then I saw her cross back over the road and walk into a section of trees, still following the dogs. But this section of trees was, the crossroad was behind them towards her house. As she went into these trees, she became disorientated in the bush and walked for a really long time before she came out into the opening of a field. I believe that she was in this area for at least 2 hours before re-emerging, and 2 hours or more before any alarm was first raised by her mum. Here is a map showing the direction she may have walked and the direction of the dogs. I saw Summer leaving her property just here, crossing this road and following it down past that crossroad, and then crossing back again, going into these trees. And this is where she became disorientated. What she wasn't aware of, though, is that the dogs had actually gone down the side of this and looped back around. And that's what I was seeing. Now, I have to say, in seeing this, I'm going only by the way I was shown when she went walking down a track. But I could be wrong about where she re-emerged from the bush at the end. And because this is not fact, this is my interpretation of psychic visions and messages, I've indicated a few possible directions, because I don't want to point the finger or allege the involvement of anyone who may have been on these properties. But where she emerged, there was tall grass, or like a grass-like crop growing. And yes, I have previously sent these details, and what I'm about to share with you again, to TBI over a year ago. Where she emerged, she could hear a vehicle, and it sounded like machinery running in the distance, and she went towards that. It was difficult to see her amongst the tall grass-like crops, and where she came out was almost directly in front of this vehicle, and I feel that she was hit and run over. And the person that was driving this vehicle at the time had felt that they'd run over something, but they weren't sure what it was, and they didn't see her step out in front of them. They did stop though, and they looked, and they found Summer. This was a shock, not understanding where she had come from, and an immediate sense of fear and panic over what to do. They believed her to be instantly deceased and panicked about calling police or ambulance, and I believe this was because of other nefarious activities that they were involved in or had previously been involved in, and may have faced charges for. They just felt they wouldn't be believed, and this was an accident, and that she was already passed, so they panicked, not knowing what to do. The picture here is similar to what I was being shown. This is not the actual machinery. My guides gave me the word slasher, and a friend of mine, Linda, who is also a medium, said she got the words rotary hoe, which was a close validation to the visions and messages I had been given. I feel that they took her little body back into a very large shed and placed it in a large esky. That's what Australians call like a thermal box to keep things cold when picnicking or travelling. It looks like inside the box there were large Hessian type bags or material. I also saw nets as well, so it could have been used for fishing. This is just an example of the type of esky that I was seeing, and Hessian bag and netting. It wasn't new like this, it was old and grubby, but this is just to give you an idea of what I was seeing in my visions. Feel that the person that did this, and it was a male, I believe they were drinking that night, and not really knowing what to do about this. Spirit did give me 2 initials that were also given to my friend and medium Linda, which validated that the initials given to us were significant. I've not included them in this video because it could point the finger at someone, and as I've been told by one of my subscribers, it's already a chaotic shit show between locals, so I don't want to add any ammunition to this chaos. That is not what this is about, and won't get the answers that everyone's looking for. But again, I can assure you that this information has previously been sent to law enforcement. It also seems to link to someone associated with the property that I believe Summer walked onto when she came out of the bush trails, which is why I'm being very careful not to identify too closely who this may be. Please remember, these are only my opinions from the information given to me from my spirit guides and cannot be considered as a fact. They are only given as a tool for those that may be looking and searching as a guide to where they might find some real evidence and some real information. Then was shown that in the early hours of the morning that this person packed that icebox with other camping and fishing gear into an old 4-wheel drive vehicle, or you may call that a truck. And it looked to be tan in colour, and I've provided a picture of something similar to what I was being shown in my visions here. I've also provided a picture of the large shed that I believe that she was put into before being moved and taken away from the property. So I'm just trying to show you the pictures as closely as possible to the information and the visions that I was shown. These are obviously not the actual places or vehicle. Now, I had previously been shown, and was shown the same thing again, that she was taken out of the area inside this icebox esky, and was taken to what I thought was like a national park area that had water, and it also had like a large rocky outcrop around it as well. So there was water there, but you could walk up through like a mountainous pathway. This was beside the water. I saw that Summer's body was removed from the icebox and wrapped in that burlap sack, that Hessian bag. And the esky, or the icebox itself, was dumped basically on the side of where that water is, in a marshy area. And the fact that they're still giving me that makes me feel like it's almost sunken in that area, and it may still be there. So if that's found, there could be a link to DNA inside that esky or icebox. I then saw that Summer's body that had been wrapped was taken up this Rocky Mountain crevice and dropped in a crevice between large rocks down towards the water. And what I've shown you here is something very similar to what I was seeing in that area. Now, my friend and medium Linda, when I asked her what she got when I said the name Summer Wells, she got the word quarry. So I used the direction I believe they'd travelled with Summer, that I'd previously drawn on a map that I'd sent to TBI, and looked for a national park area or quarry. And this is what I found. So this is the original map that I got, so that I could draw what I was seeing in my vision as to the direction I believe they took when removing Summer from this area. And this is just a screenshot of the search I did looking for a match for a quarry or national park. This top map is the original one that I'd drawn, and the bottom map is one that I found for Clifton Rock Quarry. And this seemed very close to the direction that I was shown that they travelled in, where they went to, but not quite. So then I checked maps again, the direction to the rock quarry in Erin. The pictures I found were very similar to the rocky outcrop I saw beside the water. My guides also gave me some new information, and this was a vision of a fish that turned red. So I've interpreted this as referring to someone or something as being a red herring. So there seems to be a deception or misleading of people that is either to cover up what happened or for some type of personal benefit. And they showed me more than one of these red herrings. So it's very likely that there is more than one individual giving false or misleading information about this and trying to throw directions off track of what the truth really is. And as I've been told by my guides before, many people will be, and some already have been, exposed for crime and corruption. They showed me people being taken away by law enforcement, but they also shared that there is much more yet to come, and that the spotlight on the town and the chaos going on and the dirt being shared by locals is exposing much more than what happened to Summer. My guides did show me long-term abuse going on across this area. There was also a feeling of a link to the church, and a church link to law enforcement as well. And this all still needs to be exposed. With neighbours turning on each other, this is all imploding, but there is still so much more dirt to be revealed. My medium friend Linda also confirmed the long-term criminality and corruption that my guides had told me about, needing to be exposed. She also made a link to a person involved with the youth at a church and a link between that person and law enforcement. That link could mean that law enforcement are aware of it, of course, or it could mean that a personal connection to the church from a law enforcement person. She was also told about CSA being a long-term issue in the area and Summer having previously been neglected and possibly abused. So I wonder, had abuse been reported about someone looking after the youth group at the church? If not to law enforcement, the church leaders? My guides had previously told me that Candace and Don were not involved. Now, before you come at me, I am only saying that they told me they were not involved in her disappearance. My guides did show me, though, that Summer was off the property for a much longer period of time before her mother realised she wasn't there, and that the time of when she was last seen and when it was reported is much longer than what was said. They also indicated that the father has suspicions but really doesn't know anything either, only the rumours. My guides did show me that Summer had been neglected, and I also believe the victim of CSA. In fact, I think she was surrounded by abusers. She definitely didn't have an easy life. So there is good reasons for suspicion about their involvement, but all I can say is that is not what my guides are saying about her disappearance. My guides indicated that Candace is still, to this day, oblivious and has no idea what really happened to Summer, and nor does Don. But they indicated he is directing suspicion on the wrong person. And my medium friend also indicated she received that same information. She did share, however, that she too saw previous SA, and this could be linked to a youth worker and a link to a church. So the good news is, I believe that law enforcement is watching, and more will be exposed and brought to justice. I don't think sharing this here will jeopardise any operation or watch list that's been going on, because my guides tell me that so much has already been alleged and dirty laundry aired through all the infighting from locals at this point, that sharing this now won't be an issue. Spirit also shared with me that the boys, Summer's brothers, are in need of ongoing counselling and help. This help is crucial in the prevention of continuation of the cycle of abuse, and it needs to end here. Something good must come of all of this. My guides had also told me that there was a bigger purpose here, and I had included that in an earlier video, and that the soul of Rose chose to reincarnate as Summer for exactly this purpose, to end the cycle in their family and to expose the generational criminality in this area. So I hope the additional bits of information I've shared here today reach whomever this is meant to reach, and that the universe intercedes to make this happen so it helps in the search for Summer. Again, these are my impressions from the visions and information I have received from Spirit, and I don't claim that everything is 100% accurate or fact. In fact, I'd be very happy to be proven wrong, and nothing would make me happier than to have Summer found alive, safe, and in good health. I would like to finish with a prayer for Summer and all those that care about this little girl, and I hope you join me. God, we ask that you keep Summer in your tender loving care, no matter where she is. That you help all those in grief, loss and concern for her, and that everything that is hidden in darkness be brought to light. Please help all those trying to find the truth and locate Summer to find this truth. Please help anyone that knows more with the strength and courage to come forward with that information. God, we ask that you watch over all those that love her, and that you watch over her brothers and remove the trauma from their experience, that they may end the cycle that has existed for far too long. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in comments. I will read them all. May God bless and keep you. Until next time.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.